So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Rich Clark. I've been a hypnotherapist for the last 8 years and I've been a holistic therapist for the last 15 years. So for Throwback Thursday, I talk about my favourite films, TV shows and albums. And so this week I'm going to talk about the films of Christopher Nolan. And these are all linked to mind-bending ideas, brilliant special effects. And I'm going to talk about 3 different films. The first one I'm going to talk about is Memento. Now, Memento was a 2000 American neo-noir psychological thriller written and directed by Christopher Nolan. It was his first actual written and directed by him. There was a little short he did as well. Now, it's based on a short story by his actual brother, Jonathan, which was later published in 2001. The film stars Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss and Joe Pantoliano. Joe Pantoliano was actually Cypher in The Matrix, and Carrie-Anne Moss was in The Matrix as well. The film follows, and I'll explain, the film follows Leonard Shelby, and this is Guy Pearce, a man who suffers from anterograde amnesia, resulting in short-term memory loss and the inability to follow new memories. So, with this, he uses an elaborate system of photographs, handwritten notes and tattoos in an attempt to uncover the perpetrator who killed his wife and caused him to sustain the condition. When this film came out, it was a non-linear narrative and is presented as 2 different sequences of films, as scenes intersped and interspersed during the film, a series in black and white that is shown in a chronological order, and a series of colour sequences shown in reverse order, simulating for the audience the mental state of the protagonist.
I don't even know how long she's been gone. It's like I've woken up in bed and she's not here. Because she's gone to the bathroom or something. But somehow I just know she's never gonna come back to bed. If I could just reach over and touch her side of the bed, I would know that it was cold. But I can't. I know I can't have her back. But I don't want to wake up in the morning thinking she's still here. I lie here not knowing how long I've been alone.
The 2 sequences eventually meet at the end of the film. This film actually got a lot of good critic response, and so I'm going to explain why as a hypnotherapist I think this film is important, but also going to go into the plot a bit of this as well, and you'll be seeing clips. So the film starts with a Polaroid photograph of a dead man. As the sequence plays backwards, the photo reverts to its undeveloped state, entering the camera before the man is shot in the head. The film then continues, alternating between black and white and colour sequences. So the black and white sequences begin with Leonard Shelby, who we've talked about, is a former insurance investigator in a motel room speaking to an unseen and unknown caller. Leonard has this amnesia and is unable to store recent memories.
Tell me about her again.
Why?
Because you like to remember her.
She was beautiful. To me, she was perfect.
No, don't just recite the words. Close your eyes and remember her.
You can just feel the details. The bits and pieces you never bothered to put into words. And you can feel these extreme moments, even if you don't want to. You put these together and you get the feel of a person.
And that's what it means. It's about you can't store recent memories. Long-term memories are there. The result of attack by 2 men is why he's got the amnesia. Now, Leonard explains that he killed the attacker who raped and strangled his wife, Catherine, but a second clubbed him and escaped. The police did not accept that there was a second attacker, but Leonard believes the attacker name is John G. or James G. Leonard investigates using notes, Polaroid photos and tattoos to keep track of the information he discovers. Leonard recalls Sammy Jenkins' case, another anterograde amnesiac from his insurance industrial days. After tests confirmed Sammy's inability to learn tasks through repetition, Leonard believed that his condition was at best psychological and perhaps faked, and turned down his insurance claim. Sammy's distraught wife repeatedly asked Sammy to administer her insulin shots for her diabetes, hoping he would remember having given her a shot and avoid giving a fatal overdose. However, Sammy administered each injection and his wife died. The colour sequences are shown reverse chronological in the story's chronology. Leonard self-directly gets tattooed of John G's license plate. Finding a note in his clothes, he meets Natalie, a bartender who resents Leonard because he wears the clothes and drives the car of her boyfriend, Jimmy Grants. After understanding Leonard's condition, she uses it to get Leonard to drive a man named Dodd out of town and offers to run the license plates as a favour through the DMV database. So DMV is where you get your licenses and everything in America.
Baby, your cunt of a fucking wife sucked one too many diseased cocks and turned you into a fucking retard. You sad freak. I can say whatever the fuck I want, and you won't remember. We'll still be best friends. Or maybe even lovers.
Meanwhile, Leonard meets with a contact Teddy, who helps with Dodd but warns about Natalie. Natalie finds he has been previously annotated his Polaroid of Teddy, warning himself not to trust Teddy. So again, all these like contrast, double crossing, and so forth. Natalie provides Leonard with the driver's license for John Edward Gamble, Teddy's full name, and Teddy drives to an abandoned building leading to the opening where he shoots him.
Okay, so what am I doing? Oh, I'm chasing this guy. No, he's chasing me.
Final black and white sequence prompted by the caller, Leonard meets with Teddy, an undercover officer who found Leonard's John G. Jimmy, and directs Leonard to the abandoned building. When Jimmy arrives, Leonard strangles him fatally and takes a Polaroid photo of the body. As the photo develops, the black and white transitions to the final colour sequence. Leonard swaps clothes with Jimmy, hearing him whisper Sammy, as Leonard has only told Sammy's story to those who he has met. He suddenly doubts Jimmy's role in his wife's murder. Teddy arrives and asserts that Jimmy was John G, but when Leonard is undeterred, Teddy reveals that he helped kill him, the real attacker, a year ago, and Teddy has been using Leonard ever since. Teddy points out that since the name John G is common, Leonard would cyclically forget and begin his search again, and even Teddy himself was a John G name. Further, Teddy reveals that Sammy's story is Leonard's own story, a memory Leonard had repressed to escape feelings of guilt. After hearing this, Teddy confesses all of this. Leonard burns the photograph of the dead Jimmy and the photo of himself right after killing the real attacker a year ago, pointing to his chest where he would get a tattoo to document his successful revenge. In a monologue, Leonard explains that he's willing to lie to himself in order to get justice against anyone who has wronged him. He therefore targets Teddy by ordering a tattoo of Teddy's plate number and writing a note to himself that Teddy is not to be trusted, so that he will mistake Teddy for John G and kill him. Leonard drives off in Jimmy's car, confident that, despite his lie, he will retain enough awareness of the world to know that his actions have consequences.
I'm not a killer. I'm just someone who wanted to make things right. Can I just let myself forget what you've told me? Can I just let myself forget what you've made me do? You think I just want another puzzle to solve? Another John G to look for? You're John G. So you can be my John G. myself to be happy? In your case, Teddy. Yes, I will.
Now, with all this, because of this film structure, what we have to understand is when we work in hypnotherapy with clients, some people have, and I've talked about this week in Tuesday, about false memories. I've shared little clips about it. False memories and factual memories, your memories and your dreams, and then also how you create false realities. So this film probably really illustrates this point quite a lot. And the idea is, because it's structured, the film is structured with two timelines, the latter are put together in chronological order. The colour ones, though shown forward, except for the first one is shown in reverse, are ordered in reverse. So chronologically, the black and white sequence come first, the colour sequences come next. And this idea is also that actually one of the things is when it actually had on the DVD, there was a feature of the chronological order of the story could be viewed as a hidden feature on the 2-disc limited edition and a 3-disc special. And this is actually why a lot of people, students, people, university students, people who studied psychology, criminology, love this film because they loved the film, what they saw it as, but then they could do it in the chronological order and then it would make more sense. And it's also because the film is quite interesting, this is why one of the things about Christopher Nolan is really interesting. He puts a lot of subtleties and things, so it makes you want to watch the films again. So I remember seeing Memento when I was at university, and I thought it was an amazing film. Even the other two, Inception I've seen 5 times, I've seen Tenet 3 times, and still there's always little things you get from his work. The other thing I like about what Christopher Nolan's film actually does is when he does all this stuff, is that he's always working out ways of pushing the boundary of filmmaking. And I think that's why, as a director, I think he's so inspiring to people who also, in many walks of life, do these type of films. So, as far as I'm concerned, I think Memento is probably it's not his best film, but it's his film of where he started to come up with these things of how he pushed cinema. And now we're looking at nearly 24 years later, this film has such an impact because it's so different in a linear style, it's pushing boundaries. And I think it is very much, Inception came out in 2010, Tenet came out in 2021, I think. So again, it's like all these films all had these great ideas. So Tenet was 2020. So, and I think that's the thing as well, why I think once he got to like Inception, that's why he could do the Batmans, because I think he could bring Batman to a new audience, and I think psychologically that's why the Batman series with Nolan he understands the psychology side of the psychology of a character. So when we got to know Batman, there was more about him as a character we understood, instead of just being this palatable 2D comic character. So for Memento, do recommend it. I think it's a good challenge to watch. Visually though, I will be honest with you, I think Inception and Tenet are better. I think there's more scope to them. But Tenet is quite complicated, which I'll explain in another video. And then Inception, I think, is really clever about the idea of the dream state and the reality state. But Memento, I think we have to respect, because it is only, I think a lot of it is also with it. It was, to have a film like that done by a British director for an American market was quite interesting, because usually these type of films or these ideas would have been done by, say, French directors or foreign directors who worked in their native language. It wasn't something English directors or American directors did very often. So I do think also there's like an example, the idea of this is also Nolan was influenced by the short story Funes de Memoriales by Jorge Luis Borges. I may get it wrong because he's Argentinian, but he says Memento is a strange cousin to that, about a man who remembers everything, who can't forget anything. It's a bit of an inversion of that. So I think all these ideas this is where Christopher Nolan can bring something what you read in literature, but bring it to the screen. And that's why I think this film is amazing. And I think the idea of when we look at our memories, how we repress memories, and how we then utilise the memories we do, and amnesia is a problem for people, but also there's also people that can create a false livelihood of who they are. So this film, I think, is very interesting, very introspective, and I think for a film 24 years, I think it still hasn't dated that badly. And I think the acting in it is excellent. I think Guy Pearce, I think, is probably one of Hollywood's underrated actors, and it's quite weird for us English because we remember him in, I think he was even Neighbours or Home and Away, and he was really like a very throwaway character in the soap, but actually as an actor, he's in LA Confidential, he's in a load of stuff, and he's absolutely excellent. I don't think I've ever seen one film of Guy Pearce where he's poor. He's a very good actor. And Carrie-Anne Moss, again, another great actress. So please watch, tell me what you think. Any comments, much appreciated. Speak to you soon.